Hi everyone, this is Heather Lahtinen from the Flourish Academy. I am also the Director of Education at YM Camera, and this is episode 277. We are talking about selling or upgrading your camera equipment. And the reason I'm talking about this is because I was discussing it recently with a few photographer friends, and I also have my own gear to sell. I currently shoot with a Nikon D750, but I have two Nikon D700s that I really don't need. Well, I'm probably going to keep one of them, but I need to sell the other. So what I'm going to do today is provide you with 3 options when it comes time to upgrade your camera equipment. Before I say that, I would recommend that if it's possible and within your budget to keep your older camera and purchase a newer camera, I would do that so that you have a backup. But that's not really what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is you have a camera, you want to sell, you want to upgrade, you need to unload it, and I'm going to help you with that. I have some notes here, and I have 3 ways that you can do this. You could, and I have the pros and cons. How about that? Number 1, you could sell your camera outright. You could post it maybe just on Facebook and sell it to one of your friends, and that would certainly be the least risky, and you might be able to get the highest price for it, but that's always an option. The only downside to that is you might not have the reach that you need in order to sell that gear. So the advantage to selling outright is that you will probably get the highest price for your gear, but the con is that you won't be able to reach as many people as you need to. You could, number 2, you could sell your gear on an internet service such as eBay. The pros to that are obviously a huge reach, and people bid on your gear, so you might get a decent price, you might not, but there's some uncertainty involved. And if you have never used or sold on eBay, then you should probably get some education in terms of how it works. There are thousands of transactions per day on email that go very well, but occasionally there are some fraudulent ones. So you would just have to kind of know the ins and outs of eBay if you're going to do that. Okay, the third thing you can do is trade it in at a local camera store. Now, the pros to that is that you can talk to a person. So there is no risk involved whatsoever. You can talk to them, they can give you a fair price for the camera, and there's no risk. Now, the only con to that is occasionally you might not be able to get the same price at a trade-in as you were if you were to sell outright. This is the same with a used car. So think of it this way. If you had a used car and you sold it outright, you would typically get a little bit more money than if you took it to the dealership and either sold it to them or traded it in. By the way, there's a difference. If you take it to the dealership and you're trading in and you're buying something newer, better, and more expensive, they're probably going to give you a little bit more on that trade-in. But if you are selling it outright to a dealer, you're not going to get as much. Why? Well, because that dealer has to pay you money to purchase that car. Then they have to turn around and be able to sell that car and make a profit. They certainly can't buy a car from you and then turn around and sell it for less. They would lose money and they would be out of business. Have you ever watched the show American Pickers? It's the same thing. They go picking and they offer the guy some money and the guy says, "Oh, I need more than that." But they're like, "Well, that's all I can sell it for, and I have to make some money in order to keep the lights on." So that's the difference. If you've ever upgraded or sold a used car, then I'm sure you are very familiar with this. Well, it's the same for camera equipment. Cameras specifically, actuations matter, just like miles on a car. So my D700s, I would have to check, and you can do so through a variety of programs, or a camera store can do it for you. But you can see how many times you fired that shutter, and many of the shutters are rated up to a certain number of actuations. I am quite certain that I have passed that on my D700s. So quite frankly, I don't expect to get a lot for these cameras because they've been used and they're older, but I would say that any little bit is better than nothing. So I'm going to recap these again. And by the way, if you've sold gear, could you please post a comment and let me know where or how and how you felt about the price that you got, because you could sell your gear outright to a friend just by posting it on Facebook or somebody you know. You could list it on eBay, or you could trade it in at a local camera store. If I were you, I would find a local camera store, and if you're in my area, then that's got to be YM Camera. I would take my gear to them and I would trade it in on something newer, and they will give you the best possible fair price that they can. They are awesome. I have watched them do this. They are extremely trustworthy, and they are in it for you. So you can trust them. You can take something there. They will give you the best price that they can. If you feel like you can get a better price selling it outright on your own, it's just like a used car. You assume that risk. Something happens. Again, things like eBay, there can be fraudulent transactions. You just kind of have to know what you're doing. But my recommendation, and listen, I love these guys at YM Camera so much. I think we know this, that I am actually wearing what the kids refer to as a hoodie today because I love them so much. I would, if I were you, take my equipment to YM Camera, have them look it over, give me a price, and then upgrade to whatever I was going to do. I know that that's how I'm going to approach it, and I think that you should consider it as well. It is the safest option, and they will give you the most money that they can. If you are not in the Pittsburgh or surrounding area, then visit your local camera store and support them. It's a great way to meet people and connect with other professionals in the industry and just support. I think it's fantastic. Could you please leave me a comment, share, like, and if somebody you know is selling a camera, they might need this information. What can they do? They can sell it outright, they can sell it on eBay, or they can trade up at a camera store. I think they're gonna get the safest, most bang for their buck by going to their local camera store and trading up on newer equipment. I hope that you found this useful. I'll see you in the next video.